Hello, my name is Amos Tarfa, and in the next hour, you will be given the opportunity to learn all the math that kids learn from basic kindergarten, I mean literally kindergarten, like this kindergarten, all the way to calculus. In one sweep, you can learn all of it with Amos the Math Guy. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about a little bit about who Amos is, and then we're going to talk about the journey and what you can expect over the next hour. I grew up in Nigeria. Was born in the northeastern part of the country, and I was blessed with parents who loved the Lord and loved truth, and they encouraged me to have the best education I could ever have. And so I want to dedicate this project to my parents, to my dad, who gave me a solid, well-rounded education. My dad loved classical music. He loves classical music and tennis and all these things that he instilled in me or gave me the opportunity to explore. And today I play tennis. I love classical music. I love different things. My dad is an electrical engineer by training. My mom is a nurse. And, they instilled a passion for learning. They taught us the Bible. They encouraged us in truth. And so I'm grateful to my parents and to my siblings who watch me play with papers all the time. Amos here, again, grew up in Nigeria. I moved to Lagos, Nigeria, where we got to use books like this, Primary English Course 1. Some of my friends will remember stories about Ali and Simbi, a man and a woman, and boy and girl, and pencil, and paper, and table. This is how we learned in Nigeria. This is primary 1 or first grade. And that's where I began, and I actually have some more of the Nigerian stuff I'll talk about later. I'm a medical physicist by training, but I also write math curriculum. I've written a few books over my years on earth here. I've written about 5 books, and I'm working on the 6th book now, which is focused on how to raise the next generation of mathematicians and scientists and thinkers who also know the history and philosophy of science, logic, and theology. Before I go on, I want to explain part of what this project will be helpful to do. I'm going to read you a quote here. It says, 1 out of every 7 people in the world cannot read. If people can't read, write, or do math, it will affect their whole lives. But education can help people escape poverty. Children who go to school get better jobs when they're older, live longer and healthier. Now, this was speaking in general around the world, not just here in America. But I can tell you this. It is very unfortunate that the education system in America is failing so many people. And part of why it's failing so many people goes back to us not teaching to mastery. The idea of grade level learning is really questionable, and I'm not going to go into detail in this particular part of this teaching. But what you're about to experience is something that is very rare. We're going to go through all of math from basic counting all the way to calculus, and we're going to take it one step at a time. Now, if along the way there's any topic you want to learn more in depth, you can reach out to AmosTheMathGuy at gmail.com or AmosTheMathGuy.com, which is the website. AmosTheMathGuy at gmail.com is the email if you would like to see any of my curriculums or recommendations for math, science, or homeschooling or education in general. So yeah, grew up in Nigeria, moved to Lagos, attended a very good primary school, went there from 1st grade to 5th grade. I was one of those who represented the science club right in elementary school. I got to learn the scientific names of different things like rice is Oryza sativa and, weeds and fruit and, anyway. So I learned a lot of science, science in elementary school. I went on to high school, and from 7th to 12th grade, I was blessed with teachers at Federal Government College in Lagos, Nigeria, where I learned a lot of chemistry, physics, mathematics, economics, French, Hausa, so many things there. I'll have a separate video where I go into more of my education. But I graduated in 2005. I wrote my first book shortly after in 2006, so I published my first book then. And then I came to America in 2007, got my degree in chemistry. So my bachelor's was in chemistry with a minor in philosophy. But I came to America to become a pediatrician. The reason why I didn't become a pediatrician is actually I realized that I wanted to deal with the mind way more than I wanted to deal with just teaching math and, I wanted to deal with the mind more than just helping kids, go through their regular checkups as far as, hey, how are you doing now? And do you have a cold? And I appreciate pediatricians for what they do. But at that time in 2009, it became clear that my passion was teaching all along. If you look at my history, it seems like that was always there. Right from 3rd or 4th grade, I was trying to write practice problems to help my classmates, right? And now we praise God. Look at this. I'm writing practice problems to help people around the world. Isn't that interesting? And by the way, I didn't tell you this in my story. I come from a part of Nigeria where 1 in 2 boys cannot read. And so my hope and aspiration is that some of these videos that we make will go down to northern Nigeria and help raise up the next generation of mathematicians and scientists. Because here's what's crazy. If there's one subject that doesn't care about your bank account, it's math. All you need is the imagination and a place to write. Literally writing on the floor, if that's what you need to do. When I was growing up before the age of 7, we were in an area in Nigeria where we used to play with tires, running down the street with sticks and tires, and it was a very interesting, simple life, right? But I say that because math is something anybody can do. You don't need expensive chemicals or expensive equipment to set up for labs. You just need an imagination and a place to write. There's a man by the name of Srinivasa Ramanujan, the Indian mathematician from Madras. Ramanujan ended up going to Cambridge University for part of his studies. And if you don't know, Cambridge is like the powerhouse of mathematics. And so Ramanujan went there and he was able to show people the impact. And I mean, he made a huge impact. Until today, there's things we talk about, about Ramanujan, right? I got all excited there, speaking fast. But anyways, Ramanujan is an example of what you can do if you are willing to apply yourself to hard work and learn mathematics well. Okay, where do we go from here? We're going to start the video, the series, starting from the very beginning, in the concepts. This series is about the concepts. There's a separate series that will focus on the history. So let me just show you a few tools that are being instilled into our curriculum. I have a stack of books over here. You will notice that I am pretty passionate about biographies. We have R.G. Letourneau's biography. We have Benjamin Franklin's biography. We have Booker T. Washington's biography, and so on and so forth. Why are we integrating biographies into our math course? Because we need people to be inspired. We need people to care. We need people to learn how to persevere through the stories. We want them to learn stories of people who persevered. And so I have a lot of books here on different things and people that have influenced me along the way. If you don't mind, I'm just going to read off a few of them. C.S. Lewis, The Abolition of Man. There's this book called The 3 R's, Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic, which will be helpful in the early stages of math. The Third Education Revolution. It is time for a new dawn in education. We need to stop operating like it's 1521. David Freeman, he started a school at Oxford, in Oxford, but then he lives in London, and his book here, Diamonds Lost in the Sand. Cal Newport, How to Be a High School Superstar. Cal Newport is a boss when it comes to productivity. Anybody can learn from Cal Newport on his productivity skills. The 7 Laws of Teaching, Mathematics for Human Flourishing. John Lennox has just released a book called A Good Return, talking about work. Zig Ziglar, You Can Reach the Top. Zig Ziglar's book inspired me right from 7th grade. Reading some of his quotes and his stories was fascinating. We're actually going to pull out Zig Ziglar's book here, because what math teachers should do is they should try their best to read a quote from a book like this before they start their class. Here's an example. You get better results if you have high expectations. This is true in science, math, football, or band. Charles Adler. It says, you get better results if you have high expectations. Guys, do we have high expectations in our education in America? If you care about education, you literally cannot, in good conscience, have your child in most of our public schools in America. You just can't. The bar is so low. And that's part of why we're here. We're going to try to solve the problem. But part of the solution is we got to be done with the model sometimes. Again, I can't speak for every public school in every state. But seriously, guys, we have AI, we have Google, and we're telling people that they have to use a 5th grade textbook because they're in 5th grade. Can't they go home and read ahead and work ahead and be more innovative? We need higher expectations. Zig Ziglar is right on point. So I read stories like this because some math topics you get to, it's going to be a battle to get through. So how do you get through? You have quotes that remind you. You have stories. Okay, so we have Maverick Thomas Sowell. He's an inspiration for many reasons. I have a whole video on that. We have David McCullough, Mornings on Horseback, the Wright brothers. Stephen Meyer's book is on the history and philosophy of science called The Return of the God Hypothesis. And then, of course, I also have other books here on different things. But I'm excited to go on this journey with you. Let us learn all the math that kids learn from kindergarten to calculus. Welcome and enjoy. Have a blessed time as you watch through the series. And by the way, you can get up to 9 college credits for this series if you do the work that is required. Enjoy the video as I train you to maybe go to Cambridge or